day 1 of the May 2000 5-day retreat in Sweden. In the first talk of a retreat, we say something about a new kind of listening. Also some words about authority and what is our relationship with each other. Now you may have been to many retreats and have heard many first talks, maybe even have tapes. But this is not the same old talk. I'm saying this because if we're listening through memory of what she said, what I know, what I remember, if we listen through memory, we're not listening openly, purely, freshly. Then we're just sort of humming along what we already know or think we know. Somebody asked me, why do you start so early in the morning? Why do we have to get up so early? And the first response was, you don't have to get up. And the time is needed for all the meetings with people. But this morning, when I stepped out of the house, the first thought was, why don't we get up more often this early in the morning? There's nothing like it. This is the time of day when everything is naturally quiet and innocent. Such freshness in the air, in the colors, particularly, of course, in spring or summer or fall. The first sunlight. And the vigor which permeates one in the presence of this freshness. So maybe that's why we have a talk in the morning and not at night. Because there's, at least I feel this way, much more energy. The head isn't so heavy from work, from thinking. The body not so used from emoting and reacting. I hope you can understand the words. It's remarkable how people in this country understand the English language. So if there's something that's not clear, please bring it up in a meeting. So what about this fresh listening? Like a fresh morning. This morning has never been here before and will never come back. Can we listen as we never have before. And you may think, I don't know how to do that. My listening feels pretty dusty and rusty. So can there be a growing awareness of how we listen or how we don't listen? It's quite clear, isn't it, that when the mind is full of thoughts about myself, my problems, my relationships, my job, my children, we can't listen to the birds and to the breathing and feel the fragrance of the new day. Well, does the thought arise right now? How can I get rid of these thoughts? Can you listen to the thoughts that come up? Really listen to them? See them? The thought arising. How can I get rid of these thoughts? My head is full of them. Just listen to these thoughts and maybe the reaction to them. Also another thought in the same organism. How can I get rid of them? I can't get rid of them. I must get rid of them. It's no use. I will try. How do others do it? They're better than me or I'm better than them. Listen to all of these thoughts. Don't have to do anything about it. Just that there is some space in which these thoughts can appear, be seen or heard, and disappear again as they will. And there's no holding on to them. It's a good thought, this is a bad thought. I must not. Just listen to the must and must not. But do we have to go with it? Get tied up in it? Tied up in it is like this. We talk about open listening. The thought arises, I must do open listening. Because this seems to be the practice here. The conditioned mind translates something new in terms of its old programs. I must learn or try to listen. Can you listen to the I must? Which is some space from it, not just getting entangled in it. Because if there's entanglement in the I must listen, notice how the body tenses up. It tenses up at the thought, I must, I have to, I will try. I have to try. I will try is a little bit gentler. So, can there be a fresh listening, a fresh awareness to how a thought, I must, affects this whole body and mind with tension, stress, because this thought usually doesn't remain the only thought. There comes reflection. Am I doing it right? I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it as good or as well as others. The frustration with ourselves. The resistance to it. Every time we say I must, there's a resistance. Try to feel it, to listen to it. I must, I will, and resistance, they're married to each other. Is it possible to sit down without the must? Or listen to it, it is programmed into this organism. Hear it, feel it, touch it, and wonder about it. Not just go with it automatically, unconsciously. And then there may be a release of the tension. May or may not. You have to watch. Not to expect it. Then there's another setup. You expect something and it doesn't happen. And then there's disappointment. Or stronger effort. And stronger resistance. This is all observable in an ordinary human being like you and me. It can be heard internally, seen internally. Thoughts can become audible and transparent when there's some interest in what's going on in this tension-ridding body-mind. This exhausted, tired body-mind. What's going on? Wondering about it. If there's a natural wondering, a natural curiosity, the amazing thing is that some energy gathers in the wake of this curiosity. Energy to look, to find out, to observe, to listen. Not, I must listen, but what's going on? In a gentle way. Not judging before we listen. This is something bad. We don't know what it is. All of these processes of having to and resisting the force. Another thing to watch is, do I have the idea that I have to listen to something? I often, in the springtime with windows open, talk about the birds, the chirping, singing and calling of birds. This doesn't mean that I have to listen to them. Do you get the difference between listening and there's bird song and the idea I have to listen? Do you see the difference? One is full of effort, I have, and duty, old conditioning, I have to listen to the birds, because that's what seems to be the name of the game here. Yeah. Again, a tensing, a sort of trying to concentrate on these birds, which means I mustn't listen to anything else. But it's okay just to sit down and wonder what's going on, to open up, and there's bird song and there's breathing. Maybe somebody coughing or moving. There are all kinds of sensations in this body. Can you feel your body? Knees, maybe some pain in the knees. Pressure in the bottom, where the hands are touching each other. You feel it? You could say feel it or see it or hear it. It's all one same awareness. Or let's rather say one whole perception. We'll go into awareness a little bit later. But what is important right now, since it came up, is not just to concentrate on the sense of hearing, sort of like the ear reaching out to those birds to try to be sure to hear them well. But to realize, maybe at first just intellectually, that seeing or hearing, touching, is one whole perception. It's not just I hear and therefore I don't see, or how do I do these things together, how do I integrate them? They don't need to be integrated. They are. If we don't divide by thinking that hearing is different from seeing. Well, if you walk through these beautiful woods here, they are incredible right now. This morning, taking a walk up into the woods, spotlighted with sunshine and shade, moisture and dryness, such incredibly green moss and pine needles. Is one seeing? Is one hearing? Is one touching? Or is it just one whole walking, woodsing? No one there to separate. If we don't think in those terms, I am walking through the woods, I have to listen to the birds, I have to see the sky, it becomes very chaotic. The I must, I have to, and what I have to do. Then there's the subject, me, and the object, what I have to watch or hear. So can we relax for a moment into not knowing what to do and let the ears and eyes open by themselves? The birds are there, the breath is here as long as we're alive. Can you hear it? Breathing? Hear it, feel it, see it, no matter how you call it. It's there, isn't it? We don't have to produce it. Don't have to produce the breathing. Neither do we have to produce the hearing. Because it's there. Hearing and breathing, are they separate? Listening, birding, breathing, are they separate? The sound of a car, does that disturb the silence? Not if there's true silence. In true silence, everything can be heard as coming and going. Another one of those divisions programmed in the brain is, I'm sitting inside this hall and the birds are singing outside in the trees. But right at this moment, can you follow? Can we look at this together? Right at this moment, inside the hall is a picture, is an idea, isn't it? to say I'm sitting inside the hall. These are words and thoughts, and there may be a picture of this hall. And outside is also a picture, isn't it? One can see the memory of trees. Deciduous trees and fir trees, maybe some birds fluttering about. Right now with all these leaves, they're hard to see. They're sitting on their nests probably, gathering food, feeding their young. It's all pictures right now. That's not a picture. But inside and outside are ideas. And wonder of wonders, if ideas calm down in the human mind, which they do, at least they can, in silent meditation. If pictures and ideas calm down, then the feeling of inside and outside also calms down. And there's just words are tricky and dangerous because it immediately becomes a new concept. No separation, put it this way. No separation of hearing and seeing or inside and outside. It's one whole being. Is that what's happening, or is what's happening thoughts? And don't think thoughts are bad. If you think thoughts are bad, see that thought as a thought, not as something telling you the truth. Thoughts are just thoughts, but they do things. They evoke the feeling of separation. Me and you. And that can and is being elaborated by thought. You who are so much better than I am, or so much worse. I who am superior or inferior. Just a little example. Thoughts do that. They separate and divide us from each other because we believe that these thoughts are telling us the truth. So can there be a switch from unconsciously, automatically believing thoughts to becoming aware of them, hearing these different voices or tapes inside, as tapes, as memory. Yeah. Hear the car. Come and gone in a flash. The word car is not what came and went in a flash. The picture of it can still be here. The car is long gone, but the picture can still hover around. What somebody said to me, which hurt my feelings, is long gone. Yesterday, a year ago, maybe 10 years ago, but the memory hovers. And not just as a simple memory, but it is connected with tentacles throughout the organism, exciting the heart and the gallbladder and the intestine, the muscles, to feel tense, to feel angry, to feel hurt. One thought, one memory can do that because it is connected. Everything in this body is interconnected and connected to what we call the outside. Sounds and sights, which evoke memory, which evoke emotions. Can we listen to this whole, you could say symphony, you could say cacophony, the whole ongoing stuff? Listen to it freshly. Not as good or bad, not as something I want to get rid of. We don't get rid of things by wanting to get rid of them. That just adds more to the stuff. But just listen. Listen. Inside, outside, it's the same listening. The birds or a thought arising, it's the same listening. Except that usually thought becomes so involving because of the body, emoting, getting all excited, afraid, angry. Because of that, we don't hear the birds anymore, even though they're there. We may not feel our breathing anymore. Just so involved in this inner drama of what happened to me. Poor me, or whatever the reaction. So, how freshly can we listen to all the old stuff? When we hear the words, listen freshly, don't we think, oh, there must be something wonderful now to hear? But what reveals itself is usually old stuff that's never been awared. We're so unconscious of ourselves. It's amazing how unconscious we are of our reactions, of our ways of being, of walking, of talking. And the question raised here is whether some light can come into this unconsciousness of ourselves and each other, sort of enlivening this heavily programmed body-mind with some freshness, some fresh listening and looking, even though what reveals itself may be all the old stuff. Maybe not exclusively, particularly if you take a walk through the woods or along these marvelous fields, you're not totally engrossed in thinking about yourself or people close to you. Maybe you do see something freshly. The other day I picked up a dandelion, these yellow flowers, that has gone to seed. Looked at it closely. As an absolutely mind-boggling construction. This globe, this transparent globe of seeds holding together.